I was standing on that stage in Tokyo, looking at 500 people, and my hands weren't shaking. Back home in New York, in my native language, I'm the guy who hides in the back of the room. But there, speaking English to an international crowd, I felt bold. I felt like a hero in my own movie. It was terrifying because I didn't recognize the man speaking.
That is absolutely mind-blowing, Julian. Welcome to the show. Today we are diving into a mystery. Why do we feel like a completely different person when we speak English? Is it a mask or is it the real us finally coming out?
It's a bit of both, Luna. I call it the linguistic alter ego. When I spoke that day, I wasn't just using different words. I was using a different soul.
I hear this from my students every single day. They say, Luna, in Spanish I'm shy, but in English I'm funny and direct. It's like English gives us a second chance at a first impression.
Exactly. We aren't just translating vocabulary, we are translating our identity. But the question is, which version of you is the true one? The quiet one at home or the confident one on the stage?
Julian, that is such a powerful thought. A second chance at a first impression. But I want to understand the why behind this. Why does my brain suddenly decide to be more talkative or more confident just because I'm using the and instead of my native grammar?
It is actually a documented psychological phenomenon, Luna. Think of it this way. Your native language is like an old, comfortable pair of shoes. It carries all your history, your childhood, your mistakes, and your family's expectations. But English? For many of our listeners, English is a new pair of boots. It feels different. It changes the way you walk and the way you stand.
I love that analogy. So, because we don't have those childhood emotional anchors in English, we feel more free?
Precisely. When you speak English, you are often focusing so much on the structure and the words that you forget to be shy. You are performing a task, and that task gives you a new kind of bravery. You are stepping into a cultural framework that is often more direct and goal-oriented than many other languages.
That makes so much sense. It's like we are hacking our own psychology. Okay, listeners, let's do a quick vocabulary checkpoint to make sure we are all on the same page. Empowered, feeling strong and confident in your power. Blank slate, a fresh start, starting something without any previous history or prejudice. Social butterfly, a person who is very friendly and enjoys talking to many different people.
Those are perfect terms, Luna. If you feel like a social butterfly only in English, that is not a fake version of you. It is a version that English unlocked.
I want to hear from you, the audience. Leave a comment right now. If your English personality had a name, what would it be? Are you Confident Carlos or Direct Daniela? Tell us how you feel. Julian, is this new version of us actually better than the original? Julian, you mentioned something fascinating earlier about the internal architecture of our personality changing. I want to peel back the layers on that. Many of our listeners feel like they are pretending to be someone else when they speak English. They feel like a bit of a fraud, like they are wearing a costume that doesn't quite fit yet. Is this just a phase of learning, or is there something deeper happening in our brains?
That is a profound question, Luna, and the answer is actually rooted in science. There's a concept in linguistics called the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis, or linguistic relativity. It suggests that the structure of a language affects its speaker's worldview or cognition. Think about it. English is a very low-context language. It's direct. It's subject-verb-object. It's I want this, I feel that. In many other languages, like Japanese or even some Romance languages, the social hierarchy and the context are built into the grammar. When you switch to English, those cultural chains are broken. You aren't just changing your words, you're changing the rules of how you relate to the world.
That is so liberating to hear. So if I feel more assertive in English, it's not because I'm being rude in my native culture's eyes. It's because the English language itself invites me to be direct.
Exactly. Let me tell you a story that changed my perspective on this. A few years ago, I was working with a woman named Elena from Italy. In Italian, she was very soft-spoken, very cautious about how she expressed her opinions, because she didn't want to seem too much for her social circle. She felt restricted by the traditional expectations of her environment. But when she moved to Chicago for work, she had to navigate a high-pressure corporate world in English. I remember sitting in a meeting with her 6 months later. She was leading a presentation. Her voice was an octave lower, her sentences were short and powerful, and she was making eye contact with everyone.
Wow, a total transformation.
It was incredible. Afterward, I asked her, "Elena, who was that woman in there?" And she looked at me with this mix of shock and joy and said, "Julian, I didn't know I was allowed to be that person. English gave me a license to be powerful." You see, Luna, because she didn't have the emotional weight of her childhood shame attached to English words, she could use them like tools. The word no in Italian felt heavy and aggressive to her, but the word no in English, it just felt like a professional boundary.
That concept of emotional distance is so key. I read a study once that said people actually make more rational decisions when they think in a second language. Because we aren't as triggered by the words, we can look at the facts more clearly. It's like the language acts as a filter for our messy emotions. But Jolien, what about the struggle? The frustration of knowing you are a C2 level person in your heart, but only a B1 level person with your tongue. That gap can be so painful for our listeners.
You've hit on the most difficult part of the journey, Luna, that fluency gap. It's the space between your soul and your vocabulary. When you're at a B1 or B2 level, your brain is working twice as hard. You're translating, you're checking your grammar, and you're trying to be you at the same time. It's exhausting. And often, because we can't find the perfect, sophisticated word in English, we feel childish.
Yes, exactly. Childish is the word I hear most often. Luna, I feel like a 5-year-old when I try to explain my philosophy of life in English.
But here's the secret. That childishness is actually a superpower. When we have fewer words, we're forced to be more honest. We can't hide behind complex metaphors or flowery language. We have to say what we mean. In a way, your English self is a more stripped-down, essential version of who you are. It's the minimum viable personality. I tell my students, don't mourn the words you don't have. Celebrate the clarity that comes from having to be simple. Elena found that by being simple in English, she became clear. And clarity is what people respect in the professional world.
Minimum viable personality. I love that. It's like we're building a new version of ourselves from the ground up, brick by brick. We're not losing our old identity. We're expanding our territory. We're becoming multicultural souls. Jolien, before we move on, I want to talk about code switching. Is it possible to stay in that confident English personality even when we go back to our native language? Or are we destined to shrink back when we speak our mother tongue?
That is the ultimate goal, isn't it? To bring the English brave Julian back to the New York shy Julian. It takes practice, but once you realize that the confidence belongs to you and not just to the language, you can start to bridge that gap. You start to realize that if you can lead a meeting in your second language, you can certainly do it in your first. English is the training ground for the person you want to become in every language.
This brings us to a truly complex conundrum, Julian. As our listeners ascend toward the C1 level, they move far beyond basic survival and into the delicate realm of nuance. It's no longer just about what we say or getting the grammar right. It's about the subtle shades of meaning we convey. Is this where the true synthesis of our two personalities finally occurs? Or do we simply become more adept at juggling multiple sophisticated masks depending on who is watching?
That's a remarkably sophisticated observation, Luna. At this advanced stage, you're experiencing what I call cognitive reframing on a grand scale. You're not merely adopting a new persona anymore, you're synthesizing a multifaceted global identity. When you reach this level of lexical precision, you gain the tools to articulate abstract thoughts that might have been nebulous or even impossible to describe in your first language. Sometimes English provides a more surgical tool set for specific intellectual or emotional concepts. You find yourself thinking, there isn't a word for this in my first language, but in English it makes perfect sense.
I feel that so deeply, and that leads us perfectly to today's golden word, nuance. Let me spell that for you. N-U-A-N-C-E. Nuance refers to a subtle difference in meaning, expression, or sound. In the C1 world, Everything is about nuance. It's the difference between being merely happy and being radiant, or the shift between being firm and being unyielding. When we master these tiny distinctions, we're not just speaking English, we're painting our reality with a much finer, more professional brush. It's where the English you stops being a sketch and starts being a masterpiece.
Indeed, mastering nuance allows you to finally reconcile those two versions of yourself. You no longer feel like a fraud because you've developed the linguistic dexterity to bridge the internal gap. You can finally express your deep-seated values with the same elegance and gravity you possess in your mother tongue. It's a form of intellectual homecoming. You realize that the English self isn't a separate person. It's a sophisticated extension of your original identity.
An intellectual homecoming. What a beautiful way to put it. Okay, everyone, it's time for our community challenge. I want to see you push your boundaries. This week, I'm launching the Mirror Reflection Challenge. I want you to stand in front of a mirror, look yourself in the eye, and describe your English personality using 3 C1 level adjectives. Are you resilient, eloquent, tenacious? Record a short video or audio clip and share it with our community using the hashtag #LunaEnglishChallenge. Julian, why is it so psychologically vital to hear ourselves speak these high-level words?
Because vocalizing sophisticated concepts in a second language physically reinforces the neural pathways of self-assurance. It makes the mask feel like your own skin. When you speak your deepest truths using complex vocabulary, you're not just practicing a language, you're actively claiming a new territory of your own soul. It is the final step towards total integration.
What an incredible journey we've taken today, Julian. But before we let our listeners go, we need to lock in these powerful tools. It's time for the word tour. 5 terms, 5 examples, and 1 goal. Total confidence. Julian, are you ready to set the pace?
I'm ready, Luna. Let's give them the keys to their new identity.
Number 1, empowered. Since I started presenting in English, I feel truly empowered in my career.
Number 2, blank slate. Think of English as a blank slate where you can draw a brand new version of yourself.
Number 3, social butterfly. I was quiet in my hometown, but in London, I became a total social butterfly.
Number 4, nuance. To reach the top, you must master the nuance of professional communication.
And finally, number 5, tenacious. A tenacious student never stops practicing, even when the sentences get long.
These words are the architecture of your new self. Use them well.
Julian, what an incredible journey today. Thank you for showing us that English isn't just a subject, it's a doorway to a new, powerful version of ourselves.
It has been a true honor, Luna. Remember, everyone, your English self isn't a mask. It's a latent superpower waiting to be unlocked. Trust that voice.
Exactly. Now, if today's episode sparked something in you, please subscribe and share this with a friend who is ready to find their English voice. Join our community and let's grow together every single day. I'm Luna, and this was Speak English with Luna. Stay bold, stay curious, and keep speaking.